Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. On this week's report, we are going to report on Mille Lacs Lake, Leech Lake, and Lake Winnie. So stay tuned. Alright, before we dive into this week's fishing report, guys, just want to remind you, if you guys get out fishing on one of those three lakes, you take some pictures, you want to be featured in next week's fishing report, please send your pictures into livinmnoutdoors@gmail.com and we will feature you in next week's fishing report. One other thing, we still have our long sleeve performance fishing shirts for sale. They're $30. That includes tax and shipping. If you'd like to order one of those, go ahead, send us an email or message us on Facebook or Instagram. But with that being said, let's dive into this week's report. Alright, this week we are going to start up on Mille Lacs Lake. I talked to Jeff from Castles Resort and he said the fishing is on fire right now. Smallmouth bass, walleyes, and northern pike. All three of those are biting really good. Now, as far as where to find the walleyes, he said 10 to 16 feet of water. A couple areas that they're still finding a ton of success on is Big Point and Hennepin Island. Now, any shallower rock structure is going to provide walleyes right now. Any of those shallow reefs in that 10 to 16 feet is holding fish as of right now. Now, as far as how to catch those walleyes, he said the old tried and true slip bobber and a leech has produced the most fish. Although some people are still catching them on jigs and minnows or jigs and a paddle tail. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass goes, he said the smallmouth bass bite is phenomenal right now. They had some clients up there yesterday that caught over 100 smallmouth bass and even some of them 5, almost 6 pounders. Now, as far as how to catch those smallmouth bass, he said look in that 5 to 14 feet of water. Big chunky rocks. If you can find some real big boulders, those have been holding several really nice fish on them. So go ahead, scan around with your electronics, find those big rocks or secluded boulders, and you're going to find some really nice smallmouth bass. Now, the two best methods as of right now is still a black hair jig or a Ned rig. Remember, make long casts, move them slow, and that's how you're going to get those smallmouth bass to bite. Now, the smallmouth bite is only going to get better over this next week. The big females are pulling up in shallow, so if there's any time to be on Mille Lacs Lake chasing smallmouth bass, this next week is the time to be there. Now, as far as pike fishing goes, Isle Bay is absolutely loaded with pike right now. They've been catching them in anywhere from 6 to 10 feet of water, trolling big spinners, spoons, or crankbaits. Now remember, on Mille Lacs you can only keep 3 pike and they all must be under 30 inches. And guys, this coming weekend is muskie opener and they have run into a few muskies while trolling for those pike in Isle Bay. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Mille Lacs Lake, specifically in the Isle Bay area, Castles Resort, they have a wonderful resort there. Jeff told me they do have one cabin open for this coming weekend, or they have scattered availability throughout the remainder of the summer. Go ahead, give them a call, and try and fit them into your summer plans. Now, Castles Resort also runs a launch boat. It typically runs from 8 a.m. to noon or 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. They've been having a ton of success out there on the launch boat. So if you don't want to bring up your own boat or you just want to get a large group of friends together and go out fishing, check out the launch boat at Castles Resort. They got a grill on board. You can bring your own adult beverages. Just go out there, have some fun, and catch some beautiful fish on Mille Lacs Lake. So if you're looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake this coming weekend, go ahead and call Jeff from Castles Resort. Alright, now moving over to Lake Winnie. I talked to Chad from the Pines Resort and Scott from zupsguideservice, And they said the walleye bite out there had been really good up until the other day. There was a big storm. It churned everything up, and the bite on Wednesday was really tough. Now, they're expecting that things are going to smooth back out, settle down, and they expect that the bite is going to be back on fire by this coming weekend. Now, the best areas that they had been targeting was that 4 to 8 feet of water. The shiners had pulled up in shallow and the walleyes were right behind them. Now, after the storm, those shiners scattered. Whether or not they pull back up in shallow, I don't know. But if you aren't finding them up in that 4 to 8 feet of water, I would search in 12 to 15 feet of water on the edges of the rocks. Now, they've still been catching them on jigs and minnows, and that remains to be the best way to target those fish as of right now. There has been some people finding minimal success pulling spinners. However, that will get better as the water temps continue to rise, and some people throwing slip bobbers and a leech. Now, if you're looking for perch, Scott told me probably don't even bother with Winnie right now. The perch bite is dead. Some people have picked up a few here and there, but if you're looking for perch, now is not the time to fish perch on Winnie. If you're looking for northern pike, there is no end to the supply of northern pike out there. They're catching them throwing jigs, they're catching them trolling, they're catching them bass fishing. It doesn't seem to matter what you do. There is tons of pike out there, and the limit on Winnie is 10 pike, so take advantage of catching and keeping some of those northern pike out there. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, they're remaining extremely elusive right now. There's not very many people finding any bluegills or crappies, so can't really share much on that as of right now. Now, if you're looking for largemouth bass, shallow weed lines, pitching swim baits, spinners, some topwater action in the early morning, but in that real shallow 2 to 4 feet on weed lines is where they're finding those largemouth bass as of now. Now, if you're looking for a guide trip up on Lake Winnie, Scott Zupfer, Zup's Guide Service, he is one of the premier walleye guides on that lake. It doesn't seem to matter if the bite's on or off. He always gets on those fish. He does have some availability in June and July, and then a lot of availability yet in August. So give him a call, look him up on his website, and book a trip with Scott, and you will learn a ton about walleye fishing on Lake Winnie. Zup's Guide Service is also offering a twilight guided trip. If you are one of those people who like to go out for that sunset bite from 5 p.m. to dark, Scott will be running those trips all year this year. That has been when the best walleye bite has been out on Winnie. So if you're looking to get out on some of them walleyes on a guided trip, definitely check out the Twilight trip with Zup's Guide Service. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend the Pines Resort. They got a full bar and restaurant, tons of cabins, campsites. They got a nice fish cleaning shack. They got live bait, dock slips, fuel right there. And if you're not even staying at the resort, but you're thinking, man, I'd like to get some drinks or some food, you can pull your boat up right into their dock slips, park, walk up, get something to eat and drink, and head right back out fishing. Now, stay tuned to the Pines Resort Facebook page. They will be updating that. They're going to be doing a bunch of live music and other events this summer. So check them out on Facebook and stay up to date with all of their events. So if you're looking to get up to Lake Winnie this coming weekend, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. All right, now moving over to Leech Lake, I talked to Austin from Leech Lake Guide Team, and he told me the walleye bite over on Leech is really going good right now. He told me the best areas to look for those are on sand flats adjacent to shoreline rocks. He said 7 to 12 feet of water is the best depth, and the best way to catch those is still with a jig and a spot tail shiner. Now, he said some people have had success throwing a slip bobber and a leech, and the spinner bite is starting to pick up a little. Now, some of the best areas to look for those walleyes is West Goose Flat, Traders Bay, Duck Points, and Second Point. He said the fish are still moving quite a bit, so it's important to stay mobile, follow the school around, and you will fill your live well with some nice Leech Lake walleyes. Now the perch bite, that is going as well. They're mixed in with the walleyes on those sand flats and weed edges. You can catch them the same way as you catch the walleyes. Now, as far as the panfish bite, the big crappies are biting really good up there right now, along with some really nice bluegills. Now, the best depth to target those are in 2 to 4 feet on shoreline weed lines. He said the best way to catch them is with a jig under a bobber with a crappie minnow or waxworm or a chunk of a nightcrawler. Now, these fish are up there spawning, so please practice selective harvest. Let those big spawning females go. Keep some of them smaller ones, and you can still enjoy a nice fish fry. Now, if you're looking for a guide trip up on Leech Lake Guide Team LLC, they have availability still. Check them out on Facebook, their website. All of the information for the guides and resorts is linked down in the description of this video. So go ahead, check them out, and book a guide trip with Leech Lake Guide Team. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay on Leech Lake, we highly recommend Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Cam and Courtney run a great operation over there. They have hotel rooms, cabins, condos. They have a full bar and restaurant, pool, hot tub, sauna, a beautiful beach to swim on. They run tons of events, karaoke's on the beach, live music in the bar. They got dock slips. Whether you're staying there or not, you can pull in, go enjoy yourself a nice meal and a drink, and then go on with your evening out fishing. So if you're looking to get up to Leech Lake this coming weekend, go ahead and call Cam or Courtney from Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Just want to remind you guys, please be kind at the boat ramps. Lend a helping hand when one is needed. Don't crowd other fishermen out on the lake, but have yourself a fun time while you're out there. Remember to wear a life jacket, especially when you're moving your boat. And most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.